So judging, why is this important? This is really interesting because it came up with Kylie, I think, when we started. She asked me this question in relation to this. Yeah. So there's various reasons why. If people judge, it creates a lot of conflict and separation. And that could be because you're judging or you feel you're being judged. See, a lot of empaths have worries because they feel they're being judged, right? And therefore, they're scared to put themselves out to the world. So quite often can stop people from doing what they want to do because they're worried about being judged, right? Therefore, it affects relationships. It quite often causes conflict between people, but most wars are caused by judgment, right? And it affects relationships, your ability to relate to another person, right? Because you're worried about being judged or judge other people. It can create emotional instability. We're going to talk today about the reason why people are bipolar is because they judge. I can tell you, anyone who believes they've got bipolar are suffering from judgment. It's a judgment disease. And if you have emotional instability, and we'll explain why you have emotional instability, that's going to put you in low vibration, which means you're going to create more drama in your life based on the law of attraction, is that you're going to create more drama in your life. And this is whether you judge or you're being judged, right? So I love that picture. It's really, really cool, right? How you look at people through your eyes. It's a really cool picture. So let's start off by looking at what is judgment. And the way I look at judgment is when you label an experience. And I can tell you that judgment is a big trick of the matrix to put people in low vibration. As we talked about, it puts people in low vibration, creates a lot of conflict, a lot of wars, right? And it's all based on people labeling experience, which could be including label the other person. You're a bad person or whatever it is, right? Now you might say, well, what does it matter that I label an experience? So let me explain why. What generally a lot of people do is they label experiences as being good or bad, right? Now, if you do that, that's going to actually put an emotional charge on it. So a great example is people say, oh, the weather's good today. Or they say the weather's bad. Now, if you say the weather is bad, I want everyone to say that to themselves. The weather's really bad today. Or like in Melbourne, it's raining and whatever. People might say that's bad. How does that make you feel when you say the weather's bad? Not very good, right? No, it's judgment. Now, one important thing is you create polarities. If you create one polarity, you automatically create the other end polarity. So if you, for instance, say someone's a good person, which I think is the most ridiculous comment. What does a good person really mean? If you're implying this person's a good person, you're implying there's a bad people. What the fuck does that mean? Based on your judgment, right? So if you say something is good, you're implying something is bad. So if you just keep going saying, oh, it's good morning, which is really an oxymoron, because you look at the word morning, it's like being in grief. Like we're mourning, right? Good morning. It's one of the most ridiculous phrases that Matrix has ever created, right? If you look at most cultures, they never say good morning. They say, hi, how are you? Right? Hola, in Spanish, right? So I never say good morning to people, right? Is because if you say good, at the same time, you're also implying there's bad. So if you create good, you're also creating the energy of bad. And you just all told me how you feel when there's a bad day. So you automatically create that emotion inside of you at the time you create saying something is good. Yeah. You create the other polarity. And in a way, this is what creates emotional instability. Because in a way, you can say people become bipolar. What does bipolar mean? Well, it means you're experiencing both ends. High vibration, low vibration. So quite often they say people are bipolar, which is probably relevant to what Cindy was talking about, depression. Oh, this person is depressed, but they might go from depression to joy. They jump between them. And I can tell you the reason is because they judge. And we're going to talk a lot about what's in the middle here. Justice. Justice just is. Isn't that a powerful word? Right? Justice. It just is. Is the weather good or bad? No, the weather just is. It's raining today. Great. It's sunny today. Great. Right? So if we label things, it puts an emotional charge on it. Because if we label something as bad, which we also imply if we say something is good, because we're implying the other polarity, the other end, it's going to make us emotionally unstable. So in a way, Holly, this is relevant to your course in terms of, and I don't mind if you share this in your course, is why people are emotionally affected by people. This is why Holly's come today. It's very relevant, right? So in a way, judgment, when you're labeling something, is an opinion from your perspective. You're looking through your eyes. So you might see something as valuable or helpful or significant, or you might see something as useless, unimportant, or despised, right? So quite often we have an opinion on something, yeah? And that's okay, but it's what you do with it. Because I love this phrase. Because you believe something to be true doesn't mean there's truth in what you believe. But what a lot of people feel is, I believe this and this is right. Something to be true, right? It doesn't mean there's truth in what you believe. So what we're going to look at today, that's about the understanding judgment. We're going to look at these three questions. How does judging cause suffering? And we've already sort of indicated through emotional instability. What causes people to judge? And how to overcome judging. Right, that's what we're going to talk about. So the first thing we're going to talk about is self-judging. Because people judge themselves a lot. They be hard on themselves. Oh my God. We're probably all related to that. Put your hand up if you can relate to that. Self-judgment. Oh my God, I can't do that. I'm not good. I'm not a good person, right? And as you know, I help a lot of healers who have issues around self-worth because I had that issue. So self-judging is quite important. And this is also very relevant to you, Holly, and what you're talking about. Self-judgment often comes from being judged as a child. Yeah? This person says we're worthless, selfless, we're deformed, lost, stupid. I always remember Holly's, Jacinta's comments on what her dad said to her, right? We'll get you to repeat them later on. Kylie might have heard them right. But see, that's an important story that Jacinta's got, which is powerful for her course, right? And what happens when you get judged as a child? Oh my God, you're a bad boy. Oh my God, did I hear that so much as a child? Or for you girls, it might be you're a bad girl. Oh, you're wrong. I got told off when I was a child for eating with my hands. So I didn't like to use a knife and fork, right? And I actually discovered later that eating with your hands is actually the best way to eat. You know why? Because actually when you eat with your hands, your body actually connects to the food in your hands. It sends messages to your mouth and also to your stomach that what's coming. So actually, the way to stop people connect to their food is make them eat with a knife and fork. Right? See, if I always feel I want to do something in a particular way, I know it's right for me. You're stupid. Oh my God, Jacinta heard that a lot as a child, didn't you, Jacinta? Now, when we hear these comments, we think there's something wrong with us as a child. Oh my God. We feel inadequate. We feel insecure. Oh my God, is there something wrong with me? I'm not good enough. And we start to feel insecure in the sense that because we don't feel that we're a totally worthy person, we feel worthless or unlovable, then we don't feel secure in the world. Oh my God, what happens if other people are going to judge me? Or what happens if I'm not good enough? Or what happens if I can't do this? Oh my God, does that put you on a low vibration or whatever? And we'll talk about why parents judge you in a minute. We'll talk about self-judging. So people perceive there is something wrong with what they believe or have done or what they've not done. Now, I'll give an example, right? And this relates to some of you ladies here. So I deal with a lot of women who were in Atlantis, right? Now, in Atlantis, women were in power, right? Atlantis got sunk because women abused their power, including having sex slaves, right? By putting crystals in men's cocks with their mind, right? Now, a lot of women have got guilt from that, and they think they did something wrong, and therefore they don't want to get in their power this life. Part of my role this life is helping those women from Atlantis overcome that. No, you didn't do something wrong. We never do something. We never, ever do something wrong if you understand the law of attraction. We're always helping humanity evolve, right? So one thing I'm getting to here is you've got to really appreciate the law of attraction and understand creation. We're all here to help humanity evolve. We never, ever do anything wrong. We do experiences to learn from. So if you're self-judging, what it tells me is that you're being affected by others' expectations. Probably because you've got to judge as a child. So if you're living your life by others' expectations, oh my God, if I do this, I'm wrong or whatever, you're living other people's lives. You're not living yours. I woke up one day, Carly, and this is a lifeline moment. I said, oh my God, if I'm looking for validation from my dad and my mother, I'm living their lives, not mine. Do I want to live their lives? Absolutely not. Right? So I can tell you, if you've got self-judgment, you're looking for external validation. Yeah? And that is going to cause emotional abuse. In a way, Holly, people abuse themselves. That's what emotional abuse is. Right? And therefore, what people do, if they're affected by other people, they feel they did something wrong, they feel guilty or shameful. Like that guy in the picture. Right? And these are very common emotions a lot of people feel, a lot of you ladies here. And if you look at the emotional tone scale, which you do in module 3, we're a guilt and shame. Oh my God, right at the bottom. So just imagine if the matrix can put people in shame, right? They put people in a very low vibration and they can control the shit out of people, right? Now, how much guilt and shame is put on people in the world? Look at religion, for example. Oh my God, it's all based on guilt, right? Or schools or your parents, they use guilt and shame a lot. Now, if you look at these vibrations, these are 20 and 30, compared to love, which is 500. Now, this is not a linear scale. It's like an exponential scale. And the best way to explain an exponential scale, it's a bit like an earthquake. If you go from 4 in an earthquake to 7, it's a lot more than just 1.75 more, right? Going from 20 to 500 is huge. So a lot of people here, they're down in these red emotions, which are like destructive energies, destructive emotions. Now, if you've got guilt and shame issues, and if you are judging yourself, then we know from the law of attraction, you're going to attract other people that judge you. And remember, they're actually just reflecting your energy. So actually you thank them. Oh, thanks for judging me. Excellent. It means I'm judging myself and I need to go and look at it. Because if you totally accept yourself for who you are, in other words, you're not looking for external validation, but you totally accept who you are, that means you won't have guilt and shame, and you're going to be up here, willingness, acceptance, and you're going to have the courage, and you're going to feel joy and peace. And you're not going to be affected by other people. The reason why people are affected by other people is because they're affected by judgment, and they don't know how to deal with it, which is what we're going to come and talk about now, how to deal with judgment. And I can tell you what I'm about to tell you is life-changing, and it's actually very simple. As Tess knows, right? I love making things simple. Complexity is an aspect of the matrix. So judging others. Let's talk about what actually happens when people judge each other. What people are really doing is, and remember, you're going to get all these slides at the end, people project their limiting beliefs about themselves onto others. Now, the reason they're doing that is because they don't see the limiting belief in themselves. They don't understand they've got that limiting belief. They're not connecting to their symptom because it will show up in a symptom in your body. So they project it into their world so they'll see it. Yeah. But the only thing is that when people project their beliefs onto somebody else, they think it's something about that person, but it's not. Does it make sense? And there's some classic examples, like, when I was at Comfest, I had this really interesting experience. I met this lady and we got on really, really well, had a really deep chat, right? Anyway, her friend had an issue with me. And I knew as soon as she came, because I was with her friend and her friend came up and her friend wouldn't even talk to me. I thought, there's something wrong with she's judging me for some reason, right? And I said to you, I think you got an issue with me. And she said, no, I haven't. But anyway, what I found out is she saw me talking to these kids by the fire, right? And these are kids I was having fun with, but she thought I was a pedophile. That was her belief, right? She judged me based on that, right? But I was just having fun with these kids, right? I love kids. I love helping them, right? If people know me, I wouldn't be like that, right? So, but you know what she did? I said to her, because we had a common friend, and I said to her friend, tell her that if she'd like to talk to me, she can. I didn't see her again at Confess, but she contacted me after Confess and she said, yeah, I'd like to apologise to you, right? So she understood that she was projecting onto me. Now, see, if I walk down the street and if people see that, that's okay because they've got something to learn. It's got nothing to do with me unless I choose to take it on. See, I knew it wasn't about me. So I just said if she wants to talk to me, she can. If she doesn't, it doesn't matter. You know what I mean? So when we project beliefs onto other people, we're being arrogant. In other words, we think, what does that mean? We think we're better than the other person. Now, of course, this is very relevant in the time of change and even very relevant for a lot of healers where they go, oh, that person's wearing a mask, so they're stupid or something. No, you're making a judgment. People are choosing their experiences for whatever reason they're choosing them. Allow people to experience whatever they're choosing. If you believe that people should live by your beliefs, you're being arrogant, right? Why should people live what you believe? And this is based on control. So if people are judging people, they're trying to control. And why are people controlling? Because they've got fear and insecure. So the people who really love judging people, like the narcissists, like the victims, they often are very insecure people who've got a lot of fears. Yeah, that's where they're coming from. So let's start talk about why this happens. I love this comment. I am right, you're wrong. This is judgment, arrogance. I'm right, what I believe is right, what you believe is wrong. How many people have that belief? Oh my God, heaps of people, right? There's a great book on that. Have people heard of Edward de Bono? Put your hand up if you've heard of Edward de Bono. Holly, but no one else. Oh my God, I love Edward de Bono. Now, Edward de Bono, he wrote a book called I'm Right, You're Wrong. And this is a good book for you to actually read. I loved Edward de Bono. I learned about him when I was teaching at university. He's a lot into lateral thinking and looking at things differently. And give some examples of how his knowledge was used. You know when Australia won the America's Cup yacht race? Do people remember that? Yeah. The guy who designed the yacht, which is actually very unique, which won Australia the first time America beaten in the yacht race, he actually went to Edward de Bono's workshop. And his idea came from that workshop. Okay, the first Olympic Games that was actually a success in terms of money was the Los Angeles Olympics. All the Olympics before that were a loss. This guy went to Edward de Bono's workshop and he changed the whole perspective of how to run the Olympic Games. Rather than trying to make money from people buying tickets, he said we make money from TV rights and we just get people inside the stadium for a cheaper price, so it looks good on TV. That whole concept changed the whole Olympic Games. So if things aren't working in your life, you look at things in a different perspective. He's got a very famous book called The 6 Thinking Hats, which is like 6 different ways of looking at a particular circumstance. I used to teach Edward de Bono's concepts at university with my students to look at things differently, right? But this is a good book you can look at, Edward de Bono, right? Very famous, right? I actually heard him live once, and oh my God. You know when sometimes you go to a talk and you go, oh my God, that's amazing? That was like that, right? He's an amazing presenter. So anyway, so that's the book, I'm Right, You're Wrong. So we're going to talk about this concept. What does that mean? So let's consider 2 people. Let's consider Waldo and Gertrude. Gertrude's a funny name. My dad actually used to live in a street called Gertrude Street. It's really funny, right? I never forget that street because it's a funny name of it. These 2 people are unhappy. They're creating a particular experience, right? Whatever it is. Waldo observes experiences in terms of based on his beliefs, which could be based on his culture, based on his experiences, whatever's happened in his life. Gertrude is going to observe the experiences and interpret it based on different beliefs, because Gertrude had a different upbringing, right? Different experiences. So they experience, right? They experience something, they co-create together, but they see it differently and believe the other person is wrong. Right? And I even had an experience that recently when I said this person, I think you're being too demanding. She said, no, I'm not. But see, from my perspective, she is, but from her perspective, it's not. Right? But we're going to show you how we're both right. Now, if this is the case, right, which how a lot of people look at the life, we've created these experiences, but they have a total different perspective of it based on their beliefs. And what tends to happen is this. People often have an angry argument to try to force the other person to accept their perspective so they feel good about themselves. Oh my God. Yeah, can people relate to that? Put your hand up. Yeah. We're going to get you to share some stories. Yeah, don't worry, Jacinda, we'll give you some story time afterwards. Right. But this is how most people happen. They get into an argument. Oh my God, weren't you supposed to put the rubbish out? Oh, well, there's a reason why I didn't put it out. Oh my God, you're supposed to put it out and you're an asshole, whatever it is. You know what I mean? And it gets an angry argument, and then people get very personal and they even judge them. And of course, what's really happening, Carly, is the entities, there are angry entities inside of them, which are having a communication to feed off each other. So if everyone gets angry in my space, I walk away from them. You can't actually have a communication with an angry person. If you try and communicate with an angry person, you're actually being insane yourself, because they're actually temporarily insane. Yeah, I don't talk to angry people. If people get angry, I just walk away or hang up on the phone. Right? So this is how most people look at life, and this is why, because they've got different beliefs based on their different experiences, and they want to force their opinion on other people because they feel insecure. Why can't you see it my way? Oh my God. Yeah, you are right. This happened a lot with my siblings, right? So let's look at it, rather than being I'm right, you're wrong. What about if we look at it this way? I'm right, you were right. So how would this happen compared to the conflict or the judgment? Okay, so they both observe the experience based on their beliefs, which can be different beliefs because they have different experiences, different upbringing. But what about if they accept the other person sees things differently and is open to allow them to have that opinion? Right? I'm going to see why it's important to do that in a minute. If you're open to accept a person sees something different from you, then what you're going to have is the result is going to be a harmonic connection with both people being peaceful. Now, this is going to be really relevant for Jo, the lady, the Indigenous lady from New Zealand I'm talking about, the student. Because you know what Jo wants to do with her course? She wants to help people create a harmonic home. Isn't that beautiful? Guess what she created at the start of the course, Tess? She created a lot of disharmony because she had to learn about disharmony. She's actually an earth dominant person because they love about harmony, right? So you might say, well, how do I do that? Well, this is one example. Down the bottom right-hand corner here. So if you said to someone, okay, I see that your perspective is this. From my perspective, I see this. I'm right, you're right. And we're going to explain in a minute how you can come to that conclusion. So really what we're saying here is to create this harmonic connection, to overcome judgment, is one really important thing is, I love this picture, plus I love purple, is acceptance. Right? And what do we mean by that? Acceptance means that you appreciate that everybody sees what they need to see to learn what they need to, so they can let go of limiting beliefs. See, so I walk down the street, and if someone sees me as a pedophile, they need to obviously learn something about that for whatever reason. It's got nothing to do with me. So I don't say that you're wrong. I just say, well, that's okay. That's what you believe, but it's got nothing to do with me. Right? Which that girl totally accepted, and that's why she went out of the phone call with me. She apologized. You said, no, I've projected onto you. There's something I need to do with. Right? So to have acceptance, it's appreciating that people see the world differently to you. See, whatever people see is what they need to see. Don't put your judgment onto them. They don't see that, right? If people see that Dan Andrews is a wonderful person for whatever reason, well, there's a reason why they're doing that. You don't know why they're having that perspective, right? But they're doing that because they need to learn something, right? It's okay. Let them have it. It doesn't mean you need to agree with them, but you can accept them. See, I saw a couple getting married in the botanical gardens during COVID with their photos being taken with their masks on. I go, well, isn't that interesting? For whatever reason they're doing it, for whatever reason, it's based on whatever their beliefs. But I don't care, it's not affecting me. Right? I thought, oh my God, it's definitely something I wouldn't do. So what is the key here? And this is really important. How to overcome judging. People love to be heard and understood. Yeah. Somebody in the chat room, will come back to you in a minute in the chat room. Right? People love to be heard and understood. And quite often kids aren't heard and they don't believe they're understood. That's why they get angry with their parents. Now, to be heard, you need to listen. And that includes some students here that when they interrupt me when I'm in the middle of a talk, that means they don't want to hear what I've got to say, and they're being arrogant because they think that what they've got to say is more important than me. I don't care if people share things, but it's not interrupting people. If you're interrupting people, you're not listening to them. And what you're saying to them is, I don't want to hear what you've got to say. So you've got to be really careful. You've got to allow people love to be heard, and people love to be understood. So this is what I suggest. Don't listen to people, and this is really important also for clients. You listen to them. This is really important for Tess, because you know when Tess started her sessions, Tess was talking too much. No, you want to know what's going on for the client. So I said to Tess, you've got to talk less and you've got to listen more, because you really want to know what's going on for them. The more you talk, the less you're listening. Yes, it is important to share your story sometimes, but it's also important to listen. So that's why you guys are going to have a chance in a minute where you can share and other people can listen. It's also important to acknowledge people. People love to be acknowledged. So, for instance, when I come back here and I go, I see that your perspective is, that's acknowledging them. And it's also showing with you understand, okay, I see that your perspective is this, right? Well, from my perspective, I see this, right? So you're acknowledging them, but you're also acknowledging yourself at the same time. It doesn't mean you agree with them. You just say that I see that your perspective is this, right? So these are key words to overcome judgment, is to listen to people and to acknowledge. Now, if people start raving on to control the space, and sometimes this happens in healing sessions, doesn't it, Tess? Really, the entities are trying to control the space. Well, sometimes you've got to acknowledge them and say, look, I think you've talked enough, and now I need to do this. Or you can even acknowledge them saying, look, I think your entities are controlling the space right now, and I feel that I need a chance to actually express something, right? But that's if people are a bit over the top, and sometimes people are like that. And generally, if people are like that in a session, right, they want to rave for 10 minutes telling about their whole life story and every bit of it, right, which isn't relevant to the session, they actually don't want to heal because they don't want to listen to you. Because if a person's coming to a healing session and if they're ready to heal, they should be listening to what you've got to offer them, because what they're doing right now is not working for them. That's where it's important you frame up the session at the start, right? These are really two important things to do to stop judgment. Listen and acknowledge people. Acknowledge doesn't mean you agree with them. It's a difference, right? I love this. It's like Jesus, right? Justice just is. Everything's just love. It's being open to accept other people with non-judgment, being compassionate, Who knows why a person wants to wear a mask while getting married? Who knows? For whatever reason. And it's about accepting that they're like that. It's okay. But of course, if people are a certain way and it doesn't agree with what you believe, then you might necessarily be in the same space as that person. That's okay. It's accepting them. It doesn't mean you're going to hang around them, right? I love this picture. He who lives in harmony with himself lives in harmony with the universe. So the only reason that you're creating disharmony in your life is because you're disharmonic inside. Really important for you Earth dominant people, right? Which Anna Marie is actually on module 6 right now, so you should be learning a lot about this at the moment, right? So if you want to create harmony in your life, you've got to create harmony in yourself. That's a law of attraction, right? So this is the key. The key is to know who you are. Self-awareness is the key to life quality. See who you are. Fire dominant people, they love to say, right? See, because if you know who you are, you accept who you are and you're not looking for external validation. That's really important. And if you're not looking for external validation, then you will live your life by your rules, not by other people. Because if you live people by other people's rules, Holly, then that's when you're feeling you're being emotionally abused, right? So the key is to wake into the inner beauty of your soul. One of my favorite words, Kylie, which I've probably shared before with these people, is beautiful. Be you till full. So be you until you're full of who you are, which is what you've been doing, Kylie. That's why you're looking more beautiful, right? In your own essence. Because you're being more who you are, inner beauty. Be full of who you are. That's the way of having beauty. Uh-huh. And from what I said before, so the key is to know who you are. That's really important. So you don't get affected by other people's judgment. If you judge yourself, other people are going to judge you. And to have acceptance that others are different to you and may have a different reality for whatever they're choosing to experience, to show whatever they choose to learn to help humanity. That's okay. Accept other people, right? This is really important at the moment because there's so many different things on in the world. There's a lot of change going on, and then people are interpreting in different ways based on their reality, which can be based on their culture, or it can be based on how they're brought up, or the impact from their dad or the mother, or whatever it is. Accept people for who they are. Doesn't mean you've got to hang around them. Okay, you're believing that. That's cool, but I believe this. But I'm not going to stand for you forcing your beliefs onto me. Absolutely not. I don't have to live your life, right? Because as an example, like for instance, when I left university to go and do natural healing, I got judged by so many people saying that's ridiculous. It's crazy. No, but the reason I brought that up is because they had issues about following their dream. It wasn't about me. So I told them, I'm not interested. Stop judging me. Go and deal with your shit. So I think we'll finish it there. I'm gonna stop. We'll come back to the share if you want to look at a screen. So we're going to look at the chat room first because there was a chat there. I'll get that person to start. Jacinta, I would have thought, what the fuck? All right, Jacinta, we'll allow you to go around. Have you got any questions or any points we want to bring up? So Jacinta, we'll start with you. So we'll get you to unmute yourself, Jacinta.
Am I unmuted?
You're unmuted. Yeah, we can hear you.
Oh, okay. No, that was about the bride, the wedding party with the masks on. I would have thought that was weird. Yeah, that's what I was saying. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And this is really interesting because we just got to allow people to go, that's okay. I wouldn't do that.
Mm.
But if you call those people weird, then you've got an issue.
Yeah.
Because if you judge other people, guess what you're going to create? Other people are going to judge you.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep.
I laugh a lot of what's going on in the world, Jacinta, but I go, whatever. I go, isn't that interesting? Rather than judge people, go, isn't that interesting? Yeah, all right. Thanks for sharing that. Let's just go around. Holly, what did you learn from listening to that today? And you got any questions? Holly, can you...
I'm definitely going to pop a little section in my, can you hear me?
Yep.
I'm going to pop a little section in my course around judgment. Thank you. I think it's really relevant to emotional abuse. What was I going to say? I just think it's really interesting on this journey, isn't it? Because you have to be really careful not to judge, I guess, because we change our perspective so much through each experience, and we can judge ourselves. But I think that's the key, like you said, Paul. When you stop kind of judging yourself or have more compassion for yourself, it's easier to have that for others.
Yeah. Because I can tell you, if people didn't judge themselves or weren't affected by judgment, there wouldn't be emotional abuse.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that. I agree.
That's good. You have a section on judgment. That's really, really cool. And it's because especially people judge themselves a lot, as you know, including you, right? And including you on here. But I think we've all experienced that in terms of your life journey, because we're going to help other people not know how to judge themselves. Because if you judge yourself or allow yourself to be judged by others, you're going to be in a low vibration and you're not going to create what you want to create. Yeah. See, I went to South America and I had $500 at the time. And people thought I was totally crazy. They actually said it to me. You're fucking crazy. And I go, what? You're working a job 60 hours a week, buying things you don't need, and you're calling me crazy. I'm going to go and have fun. And I'll be back in a few years. And they said, you'll be back in 2 months. Well, I came back 4 weeks later, right, having a lot of fun. Right? Yeah, that's their judgment for whatever. I don't care what other people believe. You know what I mean? I don't care what people believe. I know what I want because I know myself. That's really, really important. Thanks for sharing that, Holly. That's really, really cool. Holly, you're going so much deeper than what you know. True?
Yeah, I think so. I guess life experience, once again, you learn through what you go through.
Yeah, totally. And I can even say it in listening to your video, and that's why I think it'd be great for other students to hear it. The summary of your course. It's like the video I talked about is an introduction to a course, but it really showed to me, Holly, when I heard it, and I know your journey a lot, right? Obviously, because Holly's a good friend of mine, is I could really feel your wisdom that you know, but also connecting to what people's issues are and what they can get out of your course. That's what that video is going to blow people's mind. Oh my God, can I have a bit of Holly, where are you? How can I join? You know what I mean?
I hope so. Thanks, Paul.
Tess, what did you get out of that? And you got any questions or comments?
Yeah, it's all just brilliant. Definitely the causing polarities and just having respect. I think that will bring on the harmony by accepting others have their opinions. One bit of advice comes to mind that my mother did give me when I was pregnant was that people are going to give you lots of advice, loads of advice. And she said, just take it in, use what you want and get rid of the rest. And I use that in every part of my life. So I can thank my mum for that. But I find that's
and see, your mother saying that is reflecting that she's open, right, to you having a different opinion.
Finally, yeah. But when I became pregnant, nice one, yeah.
Yeah, totally. See, my mother was like that. My mother was probably the only one in my family that I could relate to because my mum was very compassionate, but she understood other people. I remember Mum said to me once, because Mum was so honest and direct, she said, Paul, I've got absolutely no idea what you do. Because you're not into natural healing, right? But she said, Paul, I can feel you're passionate about it and love doing it, so I support you in whatever way I can. Right? So she was saying to me, she doesn't understand what I'm doing, right? But she's open that she knows inside what I want to do. Whereas everyone else in my family said, you're totally weird and can't do that and whatever. You know what I mean? No, I don't want to hear that nonsense. And if people judge me all the time, I'm not interested in having you in my space. I don't need it. That's part of me being in my power. No, if you're going to do that, I don't need to hear that. I don't. It's not about me. You're judging yourself. If you want to judge yourself, go and do it alone. Do it in your own house. Don't do it in front of me. Thanks for that, Tess. You really learned a lot from that. Kylie, what did you learn? And you got any questions or comments you'd like to make?
Wow is the first one, definitely. Like that is judgment's been like a huge part of my life. I've always judged that, I'm more of a black sheep in my family. Especially during COVID, it really brought it out. My whole family is pro. Dad just had his 5th booster. Mum's had 3. My other sisters have had probably 3. I'm not even sure. But in terms of my outlook, I've learned about the corruption. I've learned about, I started off following the rules. And it was interesting you brought up about the wedding wearing masks. The day that I decided that I was going to buy my shop and I expressed it to everyone, I was wearing a mask. I will never experience the smiles on everyone's faces. I could see it in their eyes, but I never saw it through their mouth. So that moment was taken away from me. So I see it, the same perspective with the wedding. They can recreate another wedding, but they can never recreate that moment. That moment is gone, just with every other moment. So for me, the big one has been judging everyone for the masks and why do we wear it, and everyone should just take it off and get over those uncomfort zones and it's fine, and you won't spontaneously combust. You'll be okay. But letting go and understanding that everyone does have their own perspective and we all have our own journey of healing. Even though I would like people to be where I am because it's blissful, it's amazing, and I still have a long way to go, but understanding that there are almost parallel universes within this world, that everyone is where they need to be, like you said, for their own healing journey as well. So, but we all are one and we all are connected, and what someone else does still, creates us to learn something too. So yeah, this has been really, really empowering, really cool.
Isn't that great, Holly, listening to her, right? Great awareness. Really, really cool. It's really interesting. When I first met you, Kylie, and you talked about this judgment, you brought up with me, I think you sent me a text on Messenger. I thought, well, that's going to be a topic in one of the group trainings once.
Yeah,
right?
Well, I said it to you. I was like, what does it mean? I am right, you were wrong, because it was how I lived my life. And so that just changed my perspective when you're I am right, you were right.
Yeah. And it's really interesting because when Jacinta, and this is, when people trigger things, Jacinta said last week, she made that video on judgment. And I thought, oh, okay, now that was a reminder to me to do this talk on judgment. I think I actually might do this for a talk on my meetup group as well. That might come up. So Jacinta, do you want to add on to that in your little break there?
When you're judging, you in a way, you think you're just, in a way, you're defending yourself, and you don't have to.
There's another way of putting it.
So you're actually creating more conflict because you're defending something that's not really true in a way.
Yeah.
You're defending
it's true.
ego. And it keeps you in a lot of conflict and causes you pain and suffering.
Yeah. Totally. That's another great way of looking at it. See, because if you totally believe in yourself, you don't need to defend yourself at all, right? Because I remember I was at a tram stop and this guy came up and said next to me, and I was wearing those pink heart glasses, those big pink ones, right? And the guy he came and said, oh my God, did you get those glasses off the street? They look so ridiculous. Is what he said, right? And I said, well, you obviously got issues with the clothing. That's okay, but I love them. And I don't need to accept I don't need to be here and accept your judgment of me coming from you. He totally shut up then. Right, because it wasn't about me, that was about him. He was judging himself, what he chose to wear. See, I like to wear alternative clothes, right? Most people love it. I don't care whether people love it or not. Yeah. I'm going to tell you another story about clothes, because I know you like stories, Jacinta, and I know this story is going to remind you of a story. You know when Harry Potter came out, right? I loved Harry Potter because it reminded me of my life, living with muggles. A magical person trying to fit into the world. Oh my God, a lot of judgment. How much did Harry Potter get judged? Oh my God. Right. Anyway, so I went to the movie theatre, right, dressed up as Harry Potter. I had this big magical hat, about this big, on top. Great hat. It was a really magical hat, right? And anyway, I'm walking to the theatre and I could see these guys up front, and they're all in suits. And I could tell by the building they worked in insurance. I thought, oh, these guys are going to be conservative. And I knew they were talking about me because they were laughing. I knew, picked up their thoughts because I'm telepathic, that I was wearing a ridiculous outfit. So I said, I'm going to throw this back on them, because they're judging me, right? And I knew who the leader was because I could just tell by the way they were standing. And when I walked past them, they looked at me, and I said to the guy who was the leader, I said, because they're wearing these suits, and I said, my God, where'd you get that ridiculous outfit? It looks so stupid. And he went red as a beetroot, and all the other guys there laughed. And because he was trying to make fun of me, but I actually turned it back on him and just walked away. And do you reckon that was funny? Oh my God, I'd like to play with people's consciousness. Yeah. Because I don't care what people think. That's your belief. You're wearing a. Has anyone read the book Veronica Decides to Die? That's a great book. It's written by Paul Collier. Oh my God, he's a famous.
Oh, did he write
The Alchemist.
Yeah.
Famous book called Veronica Decides. This is a great book. You got to read it. Oh my God. Yeah, the book is about Veronica. It's called Veronica Decides to Die. She tries to commit suicide, right? And she's not successful, so they put her in a mental home. And the whole book is about her and her interactions with all these people in the mental home, right? But what she comes to realize that all these people are normal, right? And they can't live in the crazy world out there, so in a way they're in here. And talks about a lot of ridiculous things that happen in the world, like people wearing ties, which is totally throwing up your throat chakra and some people are expressing. I mean, why would people wear a tie? Most ridiculous thing ever, right? And it tells a lot about what people believe is normal as to what is not normal.
Isn't that really symbolic with the mask? People aren't willing to share their truth.
Yeah, totally. It's the same thing, right?
Yeah.
And it's all these ways that society tries to lock you into a particular way so they feel they can control you. Yeah. Read that book, Veronica Decides to Die. He's a great author. He wrote The Alchemist, right? I think it's spelled Colcoelh. If you can't find it, Coley, I'll find it for you, right? But he wrote the book The Alchemist. He's that was a huge big bestseller. But he's written, a lot of other great books as well, little story books.
Take a screenshot of it and send it in a message.
Okay.
Do you want me to just grab the book? And I've just got it nearby and I can say what it looks like.
That sounds cool. Holly looks like she's getting ready. Or she's getting back into bed or something. Okay. Any other comments? If you can overcome judgment, this is going to change your life. Oh my God.
I want to tell everyone a story. So
Tell us a story.
I've been really connecting to spirit and just being led, and literally wherever it leads, if it feels right, it feels right. I just go with it. And the other day I experienced what it felt like to go against that. My first time not going with my intuition. And I was just in the car and just kept driving, and my intuition said, turn left, go out camping here. And I was like, oh, what would happen if I go here? Anyway, it was so uncomfortable. I felt my throat chakra just close up. I felt my stomach. I felt, everywhere. It was just like these knots, and I just kept going. And I thought, how can people enjoy this uncomfortableness? This is not fun. Anyway, it did clear itself. But the other day when I was at the gym, so where I'm living, I don't have a shower. So I have a gym membership and I go to the gym for the shower. And the other day I didn't want to actually work out. I was just wearing my clothes. So I just went in and I was having the shower and I started to stare at my clothes. And all of a sudden my clothes started to look like nothing. And I thought, is this me about to go out to the gym naked and, do a workout? I was like, no, that could be a bit intense. They'll probably, perhaps I shouldn't put my bum on all the gym equipment. So anyway, I had my shower. I was like, no, you're just here for the water, enjoy it. And then right at the end, again, the clothes meant nothing. And my intuition, it all felt right. So I put on my bigger Kubra hat, which Paul loves my hat.
Yeah.
And that's the only thing I wore as I walked out of the gym. And I walked through and I walked down the main street and straight to my car, and I hopped in the car. I now have an email from who I like to call the principal, because I've been called to the principal's office, and the manager of the gym did see me walk out, and they've said, we've tried to call your phone, but I have changed my number, so the contact details are wrong. But if you would like to reach out, I'd like to talk about your experience the other day in the gym, and I hope you are keeping warm.
Isn't that funny?
So
Oh my God.
I don't know where this life journey is going to lead me. So far, it's led me to some crazy sort of places. The whole town does think I'm mental because I'm just doing the things that make me feel comfortable, and it has stripped down so many barriers. Like, I've grown out all my hairs. Like, I was, insecure about all that. I used to shave every single day. Now I'm just this hairy natural thing. I haven't washed my hair in 8 months now, I think. I don't use shampoo or conditioner anymore. So I've just been going full natural, and I've really, really enjoyed it. But yeah, I'm definitely, like you said, Paul, at the start, you were going to trigger people. Yeah, that's really happening. So we'll see where it goes.
It's an interesting experience, right? It's always saying what we can learn from experience. Because obviously part of our biggest challenges, I think, Kylie, what you're saying there is, how do we be who we really are and try and fit into a crazy world?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Which is, I think, the big thing, which is when I watched Harry Potter going, everyone thinks I'm totally crazy. You know what I mean? Like Harry Potter. But he's actually amazing, right? That's like me as a child. Go, what? But I'm amazing, but everyone thinks I'm a weirdo.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas I've got the opposite view now, Kylie. If too many people think I'm normal, I think, oh my God, I'm trying to fit. Am I trying to fit in the world or something?
Exactly. Right? Which is
'Cause
why I think
my basic rule of thumb, if everyone in the world is doing it, then I'm not doing it. There's something about it. So I had a funny feeling about yoga, and I found out that a lot of the yoga that's taught is actually satanic, right? And so I just trust my intuition to go, if that doesn't feel right for me, there's a reason why it doesn't feel right for me.
Mhm.
So I never liked using a knife and fork. When at the dinner table, I used to throw the knife and fork out the window. That's what I used to do, right? Because I go, no, my body always eat with the hands, right? Which is actually very natural. Oh my God. You know what I mean? Jacinda, what do you want to say?
I'm feeling, like things seem so ridiculous in our world, but they feel so right. But how I live my life felt fear and anxiety, and I felt like shit. That was wrong, but that's how the world's living. But like what's happening with COVID and all this stuff that comes up, and you giggle with some people, are on the same part. That just seems so right. The stories they seem so ridiculous, but they seem so right. Yet that past was so wrong, sort of thing.
Yeah, but you got to be careful here. That was wrong for you, but for other people, it's so right for them, and it's allowed.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
So if people want to do whatever they want to do to learn, that's okay.
Yeah, I know, but for me, that's how I see it now. This is so right, and the past was so wrong for me. Okay. I had to learn those lessons, but yeah.
Holly, do you want to just something before you leave? Holly's about to leave.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I had to get to an appointment. I just sent a group message. But thank you so much for the chat. I really got a lot out of this for my course and just self-reflection too.
Cool. So remember to post your video on and give other
I'll do that later.
Well done, Holly. Thanks for coming.
Thanks so much, Paul.
Pleasure. See ya.
Thanks, everybody. Nice to meet you, Kylie.
You too, darling.
Okay. Thank you for that. Okay. Any final comments, Jacinta, before we leave?
Yeah.
Just before we do that, I'll just mention the home play. So the home play, what you got to do for this week, is just be very wary about your interactions with people. Be very wary whether you're judging them. And I want you to really practice to listen to people and acknowledge them. Oh yeah, I hear that you're saying this. All right. That's a great way to have a conversation, because people go, oh yeah, this person's hearing me and they're acknowledging me, right? Well, yeah, what a lot of people do, they just want to say their opinion without even hearing what the other person thinks or feels, right? That's always going to cause conflict, right? See how you go with listening to people, acknowledging them, acknowledge yourself, and allow yourself to be who you are, but accepting other people, but also accepting yourself, and really connect to yourself as to what you need, right? So just be very aware of your communications this week. And for you, Tess, when you're having that client this week, be very, very, listen to them, acknowledge them, which I tell you what, you've got a lot better at since I told you suggested to you to listen more. It's a lot more powerful when you listen, isn't it? I'm coming to your feedback now. So Jacinta, what was the final comment you want to say before we leave?
When I used to live by other people's rules, I was open to emotional abuse, and that's what happened all my life. Yeah. So that's significant, that sentence. Yeah.
Yeah.
not to live by other people's rules.
And one of my mantras, I think I mentioned in a talk a few weeks ago, is if you want to win at life, play by your rules.
Oh, here's the book. Here's that book.
That's his
his
name. See,
name?
that's his name. Coelho. That's his name. But the book is called Veronica Decides to Die. You'll actually, you probably see it.
Alchemist.
You probably
Alchemist,
find it in
yeah.
the library. Yeah, I don't know if they'll allow you into the library naked, but they might. Right?
You never know.
Never know.
Well,
Kylie,
it started with no shoes, and now it's just gone to another level. So,
well, you can always give your shoes to Jacinta because she loves shoes.
okay.
I do wear, like, around home, I could never not wear shoes. Now I do love shoes when I go out, but I just wear bare feet all the time. And if I go to like mandala painting on a Tuesday, I take my shoes off, like I really have become shoeless, really, but I still love shoes. I still wear shoes.